Change my view. I hope everyone is well. It's good to see you all here this morning. Ah, there we go. Gallery view. I guess I like to see everyone. Uh, well, thank you for coming this morning. It's good to see you. Happy Friday. Felt like we were heading towards spring and then we sort of took a step back a little bit. So I have my heater on and ready to go. So I just had thank you for your questions coming in this morning. And I'm hoping to get to all of your questions as best as I can. You have some great questions here. And just to kind of give you an update on where we are with our continuing reopening of school and how it's going so far. So this was our first week back for 9th through 12th grade group A through K. And so it has been just such a great thing to see our students coming back in the building. And it's a strange sensation that it's April and we're trying to figure personalities and people and matching faces and off of Zoom boxes. But it's been really exciting to have our students back in the building, exciting to have our students continuing virtually and really seeing that interplay of students being able to participate in both spaces. So, so far, so good. We are able to sort of get a sense of how many students are coming in. I think this week we were expecting approximately 340 students. And I think at our counts at lunch, we usually do our counts at lunch as well. We're like 280 to 290. And so this is one of the interesting pieces about this transition. Students and families have options. So while we have data that suggests that students are going to come back, things change between now and when those surveys were completed, and we fully recognize that. And there are times where we're seeing that not all of the students are coming back that we initially planned for. And so we're monitoring that closely to see how many students we actually have each day coming, or with each group coming back. Our decision to organize and how we were able to have students in groups, rather, is what I want to say, was based on the total enrollment and how many students. And so we're going to come back to the table to look at that. Been hearing a lot of comments about it's been a really great return for students who are coming back, but they miss their friends and they're not in the same group. Or, especially with our ninth graders, the ninth graders are split between two groups and just trying to find that connection. And speaking to students yesterday, I think that was one of the pieces that we heard again, is that their friends are in another group. So once we have a sense of our how many students we have coming in, and if there's any possibility to, shift or to be imaginative so that students can be grouped with their peer groups or social groups, we would certainly like to take that into consideration. I guess the biggest challenge for us, if I'm just being plain, is that on a weekly basis, we just don't know how many students are coming in, and in keeping with the distancing guidelines, we just have to be careful about saying yes to all of the shifts. And then for some reason, we're heavier with students in the building one week to the next, but we certainly are interested in that possibility. And I guess the other piece that I'm really keenly aware of is just using this time now until the end of the school year to really understand what the needs of our students will be next year, as we expect more students to come back and anticipate what that return will look like, and getting guidance from MCPS as well. There continues to be strong interest for students to be back in person 5 days a week. And so that's where we're headed towards, and that's what we're planning for. And so we really are using this time to make sure we understand how to do that and to do it well, and making sure that all of our students have a really positive experience as well. And so there are a couple of questions around the in-person learning and what we've experienced so far. And one of them, again, is the question around, could students possibly come back both weeks instead of 1 week on and 1 week off? And again, this is a part of just the uncertainty of how many students are actually coming back in the building, and seeing if we could fairly and equitably make sure that we are able to accommodate all the students back. At this time, I'm not sure we're able to do all students back every week, and the county has also held off. We also have to follow the county guidance, and the Board of Ed decided not to have that happen yet. However, as I said before, we are looking at just some of the groupings and seeing if there's any flexibility in our schedule, if we will, in terms of the social groups coming back and when they're able to have their week on and week off. So at this time, we're not able to have all of our students back every week, but we certainly are looking at what are some other options just to make sure that the social groups are there and students are having some friends around and all of that. And then there are a lot of questions about the virtual academy that MCPS will have happening starting this summer, or excuse me, starting this fall. And we're still getting a lot of information in regards to Virtual Academy. What I'm really excited about is that it's supposed to offer lots of flexibility for students. And I think at the high school level, that is really exciting. And so we can have students who may choose to participate fully and solely in the Virtual Academy. And so that's really one possibility. At the high school level, it's really great for students who want to take an additional class and maybe have some flexibility to do that in the afternoon or the evening sessions. And so we're really excited in terms of what that will be in terms of a connection with our program here. I think the first piece of information that's really needed, though, is for parents and families for us to know, MCPS to know how many students are really interested in continuing solely virtual next year versus some other combination. And so I know MCPS is releasing some surveys regarding the Virtual Academy, and it would be great if that's the interest to make sure you fill that out so we'll have a better understanding. And so there are lots of questions about how will it work? Can they switch between virtual and in person if it does not work? Can it switch between different virtual sessions? I think right now the answer to all of those questions is yes. There is going to be a high level of flexibility. What we understand about the program so far is that the student, although they may be virtual, will continue to be connected with their home school. And so there is also just that collaboration to make sure that we are planning and we are doing things in the best interest of the student and what their particular needs are. And I don't think we have, well, there's some preliminary information about the typical week. It will follow in sections like the high school schedule. So there will be some alignment between the times for the regular school and, or excuse me, the in-person school and virtual school. And then there will be additional sessions in the afternoon and evening. And so just stay tuned. I'm still learning a little bit more about the Virtual Academy, just as you are. But I am excited about the possibilities for our students and for especially high schoolers wanting to sometimes accelerate and get some other exposures. Sometimes we're not able to offer a class because we have low enrollment. And so being able to have that in the virtual school option, again, allows for greater flexibility. And of course, students who would remain virtual for next year is also, it'll accommodate that as well. So I'm hoping that we'll get more information very soon, more specific information about how it will work, and MCPS will be releasing a lot of that information. Let's see, there are also questions regarding, I read that students will be able to choose in-person or virtual again when class starts in the fall. Will masks still be required when classes start in the fall? Great question. I would guess yes. Of course, we're going to follow all the CDC guidelines and what the county health officials lay out for us in terms of students coming back and social distancing and masking. My strong sense is that we would still be in a space where masks would be required, but certainly we will be looking for we'll be looking for the guidance and direction from our county health officials closer to the start of the school year as well. And there are question off of the in-person return, and then I'll get back to that. Before COVID, there were many meetings on school rezoning. Please provide an update on the status. As you can well imagine, there have been some places that have been put sort of on the back burner a little bit, and that has been one. I believe that there are some discussions coming up again about that topic, and I will have to get back to you, quite frankly, on when that will take place. So I will reach out to MCPS to see where we are and when we are going to find out more information regarding the regarding rezoning and when those conversations and some of those decisions will pick up. But it was put on pause for quite some time. All right, let's see. I think I'm going to roll over to the chat and see if I can answer some of the questions there. Are there anticipated changes in the math trajectory for accelerated math at Wooten? I don't believe we have too many changes coming in our Math Direct in the acceleration at math at Wooten. We are following the guidance from MCPS and MSDE in terms of the number of credits students have in math, but I think we have quite a few options for students in terms of their math pathway and the acceleration. And so if there is a specific question I did not answer in that, please unmute yourself and just make sure that I'm answering that question. But we are offering the full complement of all of our math courses and sequencing. Of course, we are obviously looking at how our students are doing and meeting students where they are in all of their math courses. We think that's going to be very important as we continue to transition back to full time, and knowing that there may have been some gaps and learning losses, especially during this time. And so what we're working on, particularly this summer and moving forward, is making sure we have a good sense of where students are and providing the space, what they need in those spaces to be successful in the math class in that moment that they're in those classes. Just as a little plug, we also will be doing a lot of enrichment courses this summer in math. There will be, I think, from algebra to pre-calc, a math boost. It's 1 week, 2 week experiences just to make sure that there are places where students feel confident in what they need. The foundational skills are there. We will be releasing our summer programs hopefully in a few weeks so that you'll have an idea of all of those programs that are involved. But in terms of changing anything, any of our sequencing for math, we have no plans to do that because we think we have a pretty comprehensive math program. And again, we are acutely aware of the needs of our students and making sure that we are addressing that in their math classes. All right, and then the next question. What is the expectations of teachers to be in the building? I have a freshman and junior who have the same English teacher, and this teacher seems to be in the building one day and not the other. Yes, and so we are, again, there are lots of variation with schedules, hopefully not too many, but we do have some accommodations, ADA accommodations that we're working through with our teachers and our staff as well. And so if you see some variance in terms of a teacher schedule or in terms of the teacher not being present, many times it's because of some personnel concerns that we're trying to address. And so those decisions had to be made in terms of the teacher not being there each time. And so that would account for it. And we know it's challenging, but as all of us are facing this pandemic, there are a lot of individual circumstances that we're trying to work through and accommodations that we are providing for our staff at this time. And so you are absolutely right. Some of the schedules are a little challenging right now. And teachers are not always available, but we tried to make the best decisions we can in terms of trying to accommodate some of the other factors that require our staff not to be here in person, but to continue to teach virtually. But if you have any specific questions or concerns about that, please just reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk to you more about that. Good morning. Now that outdoor graduations have been approved, can you talk about how the logistics will work? Do you intend to divide the graduating class up into smaller groups for this ceremony? Thank you for this question. We are set for our graduation on June 3rd at 9 a.m. We are having one graduation and it will be on our field. And if you can imagine, if you've been to our field, the graduates will be on the field. They will be distanced. And so they are going to take up the majority of the field facing the goal post towards, I want to say, the scoreboard. That's where we're planning for our students, and they'll be 6 feet apart or socially distanced between their seats. We will have a stage, so we're having everything built on. There will be a stage. All of the seats will be on the field for our graduates, and we do anticipate that similar to a couple other schools that do home graduations, we will have we are able to have guests, up to 2 guests per graduate in the stands, and there will be some social distancing as well as that as well. But we are having one graduation service for our students. There was a lot of energy and a lot of really, because the students have been away for so long, a lot of interest in having this be one collective experience for all of our graduates. And so because of the stadium size, we are able to do that. And so it will not be we won't rotate the graduates. We will be live streaming the event, and we will also have a virtual component as well. And so we will combine elements of the live event, like the guest speaker and the student speakers, into the virtual piece, so that we have some sort of unified graduation for all of our graduates. And so we did release a survey recently for all senior parents to fill out. And it's essentially asking if your student will participate in the live graduation, and how many guests will possibly come, 0, 1, or 2 guests that will attend. And so we will be using that information to continue with our planning, and to continue with making sure we have everything prepared for our students coming back. Of course, the students will be masked. We think the ceremony will take place for no more than an hour and 45 minutes, but it'll be less than 2 hours. And we're working through a lot of the logistics because we've not had a graduation on our campus before. So more to come. And we have parent meetings scheduled in May to give more direction. And we also have a virtual graduation rehearsal with our students a little bit later in May as well. Yes. Next question is about the bathrooms that are non-gendered. It seems the only one right now is the nurse's office. It is more challenging for students who want a bathroom. Yes, and I apologize for this only because it's taken us a little bit of time. We're an old building and trying to find the spaces and convert some of the lots, but this is a priority, and we will have an update in May for the non-gendered bathrooms around the school, other than in the nurse's office as well. And this has definitely been brought to our attention because of COVID and because of all of the restrictions placed on the health area. So we are working on identifying a couple of bathrooms on the first floor and the second floor that we can convert to non-gendered bathrooms. And I hope to have that done in a couple of weeks. We will have to change some locks and do that kind of thing. So I apologize for the delay in that, but again, we'll work to make that happen very quickly. Will kids in the building next year be able to talk to each other or eat with each other? Yes, and they're actually doing that now, although we have to maintain some distance. We've utilized our stadium on really nice days for students to create, a space where they can eat and space that they can talk to each other. And so we're still monitoring and still reminding them to try to stay a little distance from each other during those spaces. But definitely we want the kids to be able to interact and socialize. That's such a huge part of high school. We just have to continue to remind students to kind of practice that distance while they're doing so. will teachers be splitting their time between the online students and in person for the same class hybrid model? I can't imagine that it is easy for teachers. It is often not easy for students to be in a hybrid environment. You are absolutely correct. We are learning all kinds of new skills and with simultaneous learning and trying to, hi, Ms. Bach, it's good to see you, and trying to manage that. And so, and I think that that is also, again, this coming back and understanding. It was a lot in the beginning of the year. If we can remember back that far, there were lots of questions about how will this virtual process take place, and students being online and teachers being online virtually and teaching in that platform. So once again, we're having to shift and make an adjustment. I think, though, we are probably going to return to more direct instruction as we move into the fall, because that is part of the reason why the virtual school model will help to alleviate some of the pressures of having to do this hybrid or simultaneous model. And so that's what we're looking for and anticipating, that there will be more direct instruction. Did I answer your question, Ms. Bach?
Yes, I was directing it against the fall. I know you guys are doing the absolute best you can right now. So that was it. And thank you. Thank you for this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, having said that, I do think that there are some, we're learning a lot about how to use the virtual platform and use it really well to engage students. And so I think that those components will be there. However, we're not trying to force, a simultaneous model. We really want to get back to a direct model as best as we can. And I think, again, that virtual school will help to accommodate that. Okay, what is the difference? What is the difference? What is different? The virtual academy in the fall and virtual learning right now. With the virtual learning, how is it possible to attend in-person sport activities at the same time learning online? May it possibly conflict with the schedule? So that's another great question. And what we're trying to do, and what MCPS is doing, is trying to align the virtual schedule, at least certain sessions, to fit the high school schedule. So students will be able to participate in sports and extracurricular activities. And the way that the schedule is currently designed, the students could go on a virtual platform for sessions in the morning, similar to them coming into the building, and in the early afternoon, and then be available for extracurricular activities in the afternoon. And there will also be buses that will be running to help for transportation. And so I want to say, and then there's also a session for the virtual school that will be in the late evening for students who are working during the day or have some sort of internship. So again, some of the schedule, so if a student is really looking at remaining virtual and doing so for the majority of the school day, then there will be opportunities for the student to be able to practice and to be part of extracurriculars as well. Ms. Black, I see your hand up. Yes.
Good morning, Ms. Bolden. Thank you so much for having us today and take your valuable time. So my question specifically, Richard, he's going to be a 12th grade next fall semester. He really not sure if he's going to back or not, but he thinking he's take some of them virtually, but some of the classes, like specifically basketball, which is not an extra after school activity. So my question may be specifically if he has like period 3 and 4 and a period 5 basketball, but the next class is gonna be virtual. So I am not sure how it will be organized. You know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you mean. So there are certain classes that we offer here that your son would want to participate in, and will that conflict with the virtual schedule?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying. It's hard to explain.
Oh, I totally get it. I can't say for certain yes or no at this point, because I think that there would, I think in general, the schedule would allow for certain events to happen, like extracurriculars, or if there is a class that is specific to a school that is offered at the school but not virtual academy, but I can't guarantee that that would be the case for every elective and for every course, that we would have that degree of flexibility. I would just be very cautious in my response to say that, yes, that could happen, because I think that the schedules will be very complex, and we would do our best to see if we can mesh the two. And to be honest, we do that now with our students going to Montgomery College, and some internship experience, job experiences. But typically those we're able to do it because it either occurs at the beginning of the day or the end of the day. And anything like an elective, sometimes we are where it's the best fit for how many students can fit in that class. And so my short answer is, I'm not sure we can accommodate it. But when we get to that place, if you want to contact the counselor to see if there's a way that we can do it, I think that would be the best approach.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wall. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, Dr. Glazer, why aren't they following CDC guidelines now of 3 feet distancing and not doing deep cleaning? Seems like all the teachers and most of the students will be vaccinated by the fall, so most of the USA is going back to pre-COVID normal school. Why is MCPS different? I think, Dr. Glazer, that's a fair question. I think that just trying to look at the numbers that we have in Montgomery County, and with our partners at the health department and the Board of Education, trying to make the best decisions possible. I know that at the last board meeting, they decided that they were going to continue to keep the requirements that they've had in place. I am curious, though, as more opens up and more folks are vaccinated, if there will be a change in that. I already anticipate that there will be some change, because the conversations now is a return to in-person 5 days a week. And so, of course, that has implications in terms of distancing and everything else. So I can't answer that question directly, but I do understand what you're asking. How many students are attending in-person school? Oh, great question. We have, so this week, for example, we were anticipating 340 students to come back to school. We had approximately 280 to 290, depending on the day. And so we're seeing a little less than what we were anticipating and what the survey suggested we would have back. And again, families are making changes, and we're moving students from in-person to virtual, and we're moving students from virtual to in-person. But to be candid, our numbers are not as high as we thought we were based on the data points we had at the time. So we're seeing a little less than what we were anticipating in terms of coming back. And then there's another question about graduation plans been finalized. We have finalized again that graduation will be on Thursday, June 3rd at 9 a.m. with a rain date of Saturday, June 5th at 9 a.m. It will be in person. We'll also have a virtual ceremony, but we're working out the specific details of how it will all run, and we hope to give some really specific updates during the month of May in terms of graduation. Do we still have STARS program at Wooten? So we have been working with the science department and technology, and through our humanities and arts program to make sure that we have opportunities for advanced science, and that they are also linked to our AP program as well. So we wanted to make sure that our STARS program was a local program, and it's great in terms of building relationships with students who are interested in the sciences. However, we also noticed that a lot of our students that are interested in the sciences are taking lots of advanced sciences, and we wanted them to be able to have opportunity to get credit for that through our AP program. And so we have been working with our AP seminar and AP research courses as a pathway for science students who are taking sciences 9th through 11th grade, and then making sure that they have an option to do a science focus in our AP research and seminar class to really advance their studies in it. And so we've been shifting to that program, and Mr. Bentley has been one of the teachers in the AP research and AP seminar with a heavy focus on the sciences. And so we thought that that is a better fit for our students because it really does allow them to take a lot of the science courses that they've been taking, but they also have a sense of community if they're taking the research class that is science-based. And so we've shifted our program a bit, and we are expanding it so that our students will also be able to get AP credit for all of the work that they're doing in their science courses. With regards to the instructional loss this year, besides summer programs, how is Wooten High School planning to address this in the fall? Great question. So in summer leadership, we always look at our achievement data to see where students are, formative assessments, summative assessments, and also just overall what those kinds of, what experience they were able to have, and really do an assessment of where we were able to move our students, where their starting point is and where their ending point is. And I really think it's just important to meet students where they are. So, if they're in a geometry class or in an English 9 class, where we're going to be assessing, first of all, what skill sets we thought that they should have over the course of the year, but where they actually are, and addressing that in their classes. We're going to do a lot of work around differentiation in classes to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our learners within the space, because it's and offering all of the range of supports that we do outside of the class to complement what's happening in the class. But I'm a firm believer in students are showing up in our classes, and we need to meet them where they are in terms of what they will need, skill sets and things of that nature, and identifying which places we need to spend more time, which skills we need to amplify, and we use our achievement data to be able to do that as well. We're going to work with teachers, and we've been working with teachers about being really flexible about the reteaching, the reassessment options for students to make sure that we're meeting them and that we're doing everything we can to ensure that they have what they need, the skill sets to continue to move through. And I think that is really the best way of working with all of our students and designing programs as best as we can that really differentiates to the needs, but also providing what we need for them to continue in that sequencing pattern for the following year. Is Wooten offering its own Summer Institute? Yes, we are. I'm so excited that we are offering Summer Institute. We have not released all of the information. We are still sort of planning and making sure we have, like I said, some of the enrichment courses. We're doing a lot of work around social emotional with our supports, and we recognize that our ninth graders, our rising ninth graders, our rising 10th graders, maybe even our rising 11th graders, just because of the disconnect with the building for the past year, that we really do need to make sure that we are acclimating them back to high school, acclimating them to, how to come back and do their work in the structured setting of a classroom. And so we're going to do a lot of enrichment and a lot of sort of boost, if you will, over the summer. We are planning to have a few classes for credit. I believe health right now, honors geometry. There may be one more in the sciences that we're offering, but most of the courses that we're going to offer over the summer is enrichment courses, and we hope to have that information on our website, hopefully in the next week or two, maybe a little longer than that, to get that finalized. So at this point, we're getting our program approved by central office, and as soon as we have that approval, we'll release all of the dates and we'll release all of the courses. Where can we get the attendance form for the graduation ceremony? I can put that on our website, and it's going out again this Sunday in the senior updates. So there will be a survey that will be out there, but I'll also make sure that it's on our website as well. in the fall? Might students be able to do virtual in the morning and then come in person in the afternoon? Oh, that's really a great question. I'm not sure yet. We're still trying to figure out what our option will be. If, now, there could be a possibility that there's a virtual school option in the morning, yes, and then they're coming in for their afternoon classes. I think that that's an option, but I need to go back and check, quite frankly. I think that the county is planning for sessions in virtual school that would align for students to possibly come in the afternoon, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. Will you be collecting vaccine info from students to get an idea of how many kids are actually vaccinated come the fall? Another great question. I don't know if that will be something that will be collected or not. I know we're not collecting that data now, but I hope we'll get some more information about vaccinations and if that's going to be information that we have here at the school. Will you release the Wooten Summer Institute information at the same time that MCPS releases their summer program info so we can figure out best choices? I think the MCPS has already released theirs. At least they've released the dates. And, oh, it hasn't been released on the website yet. I thought I saw it on the MCPS website. Yes, we want to release it at the same time. We will be offering health at Wooten, but it will be in the same time frame, I believe, as the MCPS offering as well. So it'll be the same time frame. But yes, we are offering health as well. And our program is going to be both. It's going to be a hybrid option. We want the students to come in person because we want to connect them back to school, but we'll also have some virtual days as well. Awesome. All right. I'm not sure if I answered all of the questions that it looks like. I think I have. And I will just open it up and see if there are any other questions. I think I may have missed one that came in earlier. It was about on test days and students to being mindful about equitable testing situations for in-person students compared to students taking the test virtually. Yes, we want to make sure that that's equitable in terms of the environments, the testing environments that are established for both in-person and virtual. And I know that our teachers have been emphasizing those messages to make sure that, that whatever is being offered in terms of, if class notes are to be used, et cetera, that is available both for our in-person students and our virtual students. Okay, there's another question in the chat. If a student is taking an AP exam and is scheduled to be in person, oops, I'm sorry, I lost the question. I'm no good at this chat, even after all this time. Okay, if a student is taking an AP exam and is scheduled to be in person the day, do they still physically? Oh, no, they don't. So we usually, if a student is involved in testing that day, we usually exempt them from their classes because we know, one, they're preparing or they're stressed or they're recovering from the test. And so they do not need to come physically to school if they're testing on a particular day, and we'll provide you more information about that. They can go to class, but they can do it virtually as opposed to having to come to school that day. I think that's more than reasonable when they're taking a big test like that. All right, what other questions do we have out there?
Ms. Bolden, while we're waiting, I actually was going to ask you what you thought about continuing to keep the coffee chats virtual next year. I'm not sure as far as participation. I was never able to go in person before because I was always at work. And so I'm just curious on your thoughts on next year and how we're going to do these.
Yeah, I would love to keep the chats going and keep them going virtually. I think that that allows for the greater flexibility as opposed to having to come into the building. And I'm also not sure, again, we are limited in terms of having too many people in the building for contact tracing purposes. And so I think it's a great plan to keep them virtually. And if you show up, I'll show up and we'll have a good time. So yes, we'll do that. And we're also looking at all of our other parent meetings. We've had some really successful forums. And just this past week, the PTSA did a fabulous program for the college panel. And I just think there's a lot of virtue of having us look at how we're doing parent meetings to allow for greater flexibility. So any ideas and any opinions you have about that, we're open to, because I think that, again, silver lining that this has opened up another conversation for us about how we connect. And it's not always that we need to have a meeting in the building. Sometimes that's appropriate, but I think something like this, we may be able to do something else. Let's see, I think there's some more in the chat there. Maryland is the last place. Feels like the kids wanting to be in physical school aren't getting, let's see, sorry, just jumped down. Teachers seem focused on kids virtual instead of face-to-face. Yeah, I think we're all struggling, Dr. Glaser, with this in terms of, this is the first time we've had the schoolhouse be in so many different places, right? It's in school, but it's also in all of our students' homes, and really trying to strike a balance of how do we do all of the things that we do, the social, emotional, the academic pieces, when we are, in a state of just being spread out. And so we want our students back. We are so concerned about their social and emotional well-being, as I know we all are, because we know how important school is. This is what they do, right? This is their job, so to speak, to come to school, and all of those interactions and all of those spaces where they get to grow and be and figure out themselves at this very interesting age. And so we want our students back. We want to create those safe spaces and those really strong spaces for them to grow in every way imaginable. And this has just been really difficult for everyone because, our students are not all in one space. And so it's not a matter, I don't think it's a matter of not wanting our students back, or, we have to be able to ensure that we're working with all of our students wherever they are, and they're all over, in their homes, they're here, and we're doing everything possible to address those needs. And I'm happy to hear more, ideas and about how we do that. But it is, quite frankly, a challenge when we don't have the schoolhouse being the connection and the space where everyone comes, and then things work through from there. But I assure you that that's what we want to get back to. That's what our students want, listening to them this morning about, being back, and just how strange it is that there are so few students, but how excited they are that they're back. So it's been a challenge, no doubt about it. All right. Well, I see that the questions are slowing down. I'm happy to stay on if you have any individual questions, but once again, I thank you for joining me this month, and I think we'll have another one in May. And so I hope to have more information about virtual school, and we'll be ramping up for other senior activities and all of the other pieces that will happen over the summer. So I hope that you all are doing really well, and I thank you very much for all your continued support. Have a fabulous weekend, and I'll stick around if you have any other questions. Thank you. You're welcome. Ms. Kobe, did you have a question?
I just wanted to kind of follow up a little bit more on the bathrooms. If there's sort of a schedule in place when the extra bathrooms would get implemented, or if there's something I can do to help, because I firmly believe you have to be part of the solution too. So
Right. No, I think we're contacting our contractors. We have to get the locks changed out from where they are now, and just identifying the bathrooms. And I really hope that we'll be able to do that as quick as possible.
okay, great.
Yeah. And before the end of the school year, but I'm hoping like May, I can say, these are the bathrooms and this is what we're doing.
That would be great.
Okay.
Just to like, have a kid in the health room.
Mhm.
It's just not ideal on a variety of levels.
Totally agree. I totally agree. So we're going to work on it immediately.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Seniors will get caps, and there's a question about caps and gowns. We will be distributing those in May. I want to say it's May 26th. It's a Wednesday. And as soon as, and we'll distribute everything at one time, caps and gowns, any of the other regalia. And then it's and we'll give you a lot more information about how to come to the school. We do a drive-through and it's celebratory, but we'll do that at the end of May before the seniors' last day. You're welcome. Thank you.
Any idea about the summer programs as far as like when my daughter's interested in health class, like when the online health class would be available to register?
Mr. Sellers, hopefully we will get, we have sent our plan to central office and we're waiting for approval. And as soon as we get that, we'll put everything out. I am hoping that we'll be able to get it out in the first or second week of May. It's a lot later, to be honest, than we usually put it out. But I'm hoping in the first 2 weeks of May, we'll be able to get that out to you.
Yeah, because on the county schedule, I saw the May 3rd was when they were going to offer the, some of the online options and stuff like that. So yeah, as summer is quickly booking up, it's kind of imperative to see if we can get that locked into.
Absolutely. Yes, we agree. And we hope to get ours out just as soon as we possibly can.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, I think I missed a question in the chat. Would you consider allowing clubs with less than 10 students? My son is in a club, but recruitment for the, I think, Ms. Lapari, if you, we have our ECA directors. Is Ms. Lapari still here? Oh, yes. Reach out to our ECA directors. It's Mr. Schwartz and Ms. Roberts, and they can help, or have your son reach out, actually. And we understand that there's just been a lot going on. So if there's an interest in the club and there's just, if he can find a sponsor, that's usually the big thing, then I'm sure that we could give it some time to have it grow and things of that nature. So have him reach out or ask him to send me an email and let me know what he's thinking about. And then we can move forward from there. You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone. All right, Nikki, I think that's it. I'm going to wish you safe travels and a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for putting all this together. As always, I really appreciate it.